Developing a transurban perspective means going beyond the hierarchical vision prompted by modern geography. The world is not anymore organized through a defined scalar disposition. The local, the regional, the state, the continent, and the global used to function as analytical and political steps for encapsulate social phenomena. However, one of the main changes that globalization processes have prompted has been a complex rescaling that implies an effort to search for new concepts. Thinking through a trans-urban paradigm points to tackle this challenge. Moreover, our research has tried to confront with some emerging epistemological paradigm. On one hand, we stressed the necessity to conceive the urban as a relation rather than as a stable matter of fact. On the other hand, we tried to enrich this perspective by the adoption of heterogeneous theoretical sources. First of all, we tried to work on an urban interpretation of the so-called world ecology field. World ecology draws on a diversity of transdisciplinary critical traditions across the human and physical sciences. The hyphenated term world ecology derives from a reinterpretation of the historians Fernand Braudel and Immanuel Wallerstein. The history of capitalism marks the geographical expansion of a world economy that becomes global in the 20th century. In Moore's early formulation, the capitalist world economy could not be separated from its environmental history. Capitalism is a world ecology whose geopolitics and economic life was rooted in a particularly dynamic and violent relationship towards webs of life. Capitalism, as a system of endless capital accumulation, required a constant search for new, low-cost natures, including enslaved humans and the destruction and depletion effected by capitalist monocultures and extractive system, exhausted cheap natures discovered in a previous era, setting in motion new frontiers of violent accumulation. Moreover, world ecology radically challenges the binaries through which the hegemonic thought of modernity has constituted itself. First of all, the division between nature and culture. An urban interpretation of this reflection points to dismantle the binary between urban and rural, the city and countryside divide, and again to go beyond a vision of cities as bounded territorial entities by focusing on their constitutive interconnections and the continuous mobility of people, capital, cultures, goods, and so on, through which they are produced and reproduced. This elaboration dialogues with the theory of planetary urbanization that we have tried to enrich with a second source of inspiration for the developing of a transurban perspective. The reference is to the work of Donna Haraway, mobilizing her concern with deflating the uncritical acceptance of key oppositions and their political implications related to the domain of science. Haraway conceptualization of cyborg as an entity combining cybernetic, organic as well non-organic qualities is a quite intriguing approach that can be tested on the analysis of platform capitalism from both the labor and urban perspective. Moreover, we should add the critical logistics field of studies. These four theoretical fields converge in radical reorientation of concepts in a dynamic, relational, interconnected and transcalar way, and in a shift from the global to the planetary. All these characters are crucial for a definition of a transurban approach. Moreover, we have to keep in mind that the figure of the globe, globalization, was definitely affirmed during the 90s of the 20th century, with discussions on the end of the state within a borderless world, a new era structured around a global space of flows with social relationship organized around the new net technologies in a global village. The triumph of the concept of global city marked that historical passage. However, in the last decade we are living a transitional phase. Platformization processes are constituting a new configuration that is going beyond globalization and should be framed within the political idea of the planetary dimension. This involves a trend towards technological, communicative and productive unification going hand in hand with a continuous multipolarization. This goes in parallel with the progressive extension of an urban infrastructure on the whole planetary surface that again requires a transurban perspective to be grasped. It is in this direction that we have depicted a theoretical panorama that converge, even if with specificities, differences and some internal contradictions, towards a new epistemology of the urban. More widely, we are trying to propose an ontological wrinkle of the urban that should be taken as a background methodology and perspective of the PLUS project.